Hello, and welcome to Deacon's Virtual Day. My name's Alvin Lee, and I'm the director, the course director for the Bachelor of Commerce. And thank you for choosing to view the Bachelor of Commerce recording for the Virtual Open Day this year. Why choose Deakin? Well, as you can see from the slide, Deakin has a lot of ticks. It's got ticks for the top 1% in student satisfaction, for teaching quality, the top 1% of universities worldwide, the top 1% of business schools globally, as well as, more importantly, we have great teaching and learning and great resources. So if you're choosing a university that's really, really balanced, who is a world leader, then Deakin Business School is the place to be. Now, Deakin Business School also happens to be the place where you'll be studying the Bachelor of Commerce. So what's the Bachelor of Commerce? I like to say that the Bachelor of Commerce is a worldwide degree that's designed for you as an entry point into the professions. What's a profession? A profession in business is what we call a silo or a vertical, where you can work as an accountant and climb to become the top of the accountant, or like me, I'm a marketer. You can work in starting positions as a marketer, have commercial roles in marketing, and then climb the ladder to become a chief marketing officer. Now, in the Bachelor of Commerce, we cover 8 majors, and these majors not only get you to study the correct things needed to enter your selected profession or professions, but we also equip you with plenty of industry experience and make sure that you're employable so that you get into that first role, which will kickstart your career. Many students look at the recordings between the Bachelor of Commerce and the Bachelor of Business and always ask, hey, Al, what's the difference between the Bachelor of Commerce and the Bachelor of Business? Well, the Bachelor of Commerce really puts you at the forefront to get into a traditional commerce career, a profession such as an accountant, a marketer, a financial planner, right? So each of the majors, of which we have 9, is accredited by a body, an industry body, so the accounting body, the CPA, or the marketing body, the Australian Marketing Institute. So it starts you on the journey to becoming a certified professional. For example, a lot of my colleagues in accounting are chartered accountants or CPAs, certified practicing accountants. I'm a certified practicing marketer. Each and every single one of our majors allows you to become certified in some way. Whereas the Bachelor of Business, the counterpart degree, focuses more on horizontal careers. The majors in the Bachelor of Business deal with a business area, for example, entrepreneurship, retailing, or event management, and are less pronounced in the way that they allow you to enter a profession and climb the vertical ladder in a corporation. How do you get into the Bachelor of Commerce? Well, there's many, many ways. You can apply to Deakin directly from year 12 from school if you have good grades, or the required grades to get into the Bachelor of Commerce, then you'll be accepted, right? You can come as a mature age person from the workforce. We will take your work experience into account. You can transfer from another course. We have a lot of people who study double degrees, for example, science and commerce, and then ultimately transfer just into commerce or into science, right? You can study a course at a different university, and provided that you have done 2 units and passed them at least, 2 units and pass them, then you can transfer to Deakin, right? You can go through Deakin College, which is our college system if you don't meet the year 12 requirement. And then you can go through the college system or from TAFEs and registered training organizations, which are private colleges. And then that's a pathway to come in. Do look at our website, because our website talks about ways to get into the Bachelor of Commerce in a lot of detail. So the course overview for the Bachelor of Commerce. Now, I myself am a business graduate, so I have a bachelor's degree in business, which is in commerce, and it's a 3-year single degree. of which there are 24 units. You can study anywhere in Deakin, in Burwood, Waterfront, or Warrnambool campuses, or study online like what a lot of our students do. It's offered year-round. We run a trimester system, so 3 times a year we start and end classes. So you can really finish your degree in 2 years if you don't take a break. 2 years. Right? You can apply for memberships to all sorts of professional bodies, such as the accounting bodies, the marketing bodies, the management bodies, HR bodies, financial bodies, financial planning, and the list goes on. We have 9 double degrees that are available, which I'll talk about later. And if you do the single degree, you can choose from a choice of 8 different majors. So here's the accreditation, a list of accreditation, and you'll see that it's an extensive list. So what does the accreditation mean for you? It means that you will be learning the right things. Everything that we teach, the structure of a degree, the units, the exams, are certified by the industry body for that area. So if you are a marketer, you're sure to learn the correct things that the industry body wants for marketers to learn. Similarly, if you're an accountant, you learn the correct things that will enable you to become an accountant in industry. So this gives you peace of mind that you'll be learning the right things in the Bachelor of Commerce at Deakin. Our majors, of which there are many, many. So you can become an accountant if you study accounting, economics, you can study marketing, you can study finance, financial planning, human resource management, you can study management, or you can study information systems and analytics. And you can go out into the whole range of careers that are available for you in commerce. Now, remember, the careers really are the starting point of the next phase of your life. You get into that first job, and through that first job, you proceed vertically through corporations, and then hopefully one day you'll come back and say, hey, Al, I made it to become a CEO. And I'll say, great, can I have you and come and talk to our students in class, right? So course structure. How do you choose? We do 8 units, 8 fundamental core units, what we call foundation units in the first year. And the 8 units bring you through the range of professions and majors available. So you get a taste of everything at the basic level. What does this mean? It means that you can talk to people who work in different areas of business. At least you have a working vocabulary, you have a little bit of understanding about what they do. And this is really, really important if you're going to work in business. In second year, what you do is you start to choose a major. You need to choose at least 1 major. You can choose 2 majors, of which then you have 8 plus 8, and that fills up your quota. Or you can have 1 major, and then you can choose another 8 units of your choice in order to make 2 minors, or you can just do 1 major and 8 other units of your liking, right? So whatever you do, you need to do 8 basic units in the first year, 8 units in the major of your choice, and then the other 8 units, you can either spend them as minors, you can have 2 minors, 1 minor, lots of electives. The choice of yours is yours. So you have lots and lots of flexibility. Practical focus in the Bachelor of Commerce. We're very proud of our practical focus. We bring the industry into the classroom. Sometimes we bring you out to industry, and increasingly, we're working very, very hard at being able to let you do that. So for example, we use lots and lots of simulation, lots and lots of software to help you learn about the industry. And here's a list from financial planning all the way to economics and marketing, where we have all sorts of simulations, which help you learn the ins and the outs and the gamification and how things actually work in industry. Entry requirements, how do you get in? We talked about that. The most classic way of getting in is to finish year 12 and then to apply, right? If you have finished year 12 or equivalent anywhere in the world and you have the prerequisites in English, then you can come in. Now, one thing you need to understand is that depending on which campus you go to, of which we have 4, the entry scores are slightly different. So Burwood currently has around an 80 entry score. Waterfront is 70 entry score. Online also around 70. So if you look at your own score for year 12, or the equivalent score of which you can find on our website, right? Then what you will do is find a place or find a campus in which you can enroll in. If you are domestic and you're non-school leaver, so that means you've finished year 12, finished year 7, or finished some high school, had lots of work experience, then you can come in with an ATAR or equivalent of at least 50. That's a much lower score, right? You can come in with a certificate 4 of some sort, which you can gain from TAFE and other places. You can come in with a diploma of some sort, right? Which you can gain through the colleges. If you have completed relevant study at work or relevant study at Deakin or other units, which are recognized, then you can also come in directly. Or if you have other evidence of academic capability, of which you write a letter, the letter comes to me, I have a look and I make a decision, right? Now, you can also come in with a minimum 55 on any STAT multiple choice test, so a STAT test. So if you go and do a STAT test and you get 55, no problem, you can come in. And do realize that we teach in English, so we have a minimum English language proficiency requirement. Now, the requirement is if you have studied in English or you've studied in a country where the primary mode of instruction, language of instruction is English, then that's not a big problem. But if you are from overseas where you did not study in English, then we need some sort of English, of which IELTS, the one on the screen, is the most common. So IELTS with a score of 6, no band less than 6. There are other types of English tests. Ones I've taken are 1119 Cambridge, TOEFL, Oxford. So there's lots and lots of different tests which you can take. You can find that out. And those are a requirement, right? So that's English. Now, if you're looking for a double degree, now double degrees are great things, right? For example, if you do a degree in science as well as a degree in commerce, you can actually work in the commerce side of science and you have enough information and knowledge and vocabulary to talk to the scientists. So we've got double degrees from arts, from laws, from analytics. International studies is an interesting one. Foreign correspondence, for international trade, a lot of diplomacy, property and real estate. If you are so inclined to go into the property business and run properties, we have one with science, which is very popular. We have one with nutrition science. Now, the nutrition science double degree does not require chemistry or biology. So if you come in, you can actually start from 0 and work your way up to having qualifications in both business and nutrition science. We also have a whole suite of items with communications, from PR to multimedia and so on and so forth, for example, journalism. So it pays off to think about this because it's just one extra year. Instead of 3 years, you study 4 years, or in the case of law, you study 5 years, and then you get 2 degrees, right? So something to think about. For students who are still in year 10, year 11, and you wish to get a leg up, we do have this thing called Deakin Accelerate. Now, it's great. You come to university, you take 1 or 2 units with us. It counts towards your ATAR score, and you study for free. We actually don't charge you anything. We do it for free. I've had classes where, we had a pre-year 12 students come in and join us, and wow, it was great, right? So have a look. If you are in year 11, year 10, and you want to boost your ATAR score, maybe you can come in and do a unit. It'll earn you a credit. You don't have to do that unit again at uni level. You stand out from the crowd, you're a superstar, and we take extra good care of you. So once you've done this, once you've done your study, once you've done your 24 units, what happens? Well, you go find a job. Now, let me tell you, jobs are not always plentiful, but the degree will give you an entry point, a very well-defined entry point with a job title that's well known that you can get in. Now, once you get in, what you do with your life then depends on your smarts and your aptitude and a little bit about what you learned at uni, right? So the idea for the Bachelor of Commerce is to help you discover your passion. So my idea is, how do I help you discover your passion for what you want to do? Because if you love what you do, work doesn't seem like work. So the industry estimates that in your career, you change 17 jobs in 5 different industries. Well, I certainly have that experience. I've worked in construction, I've worked in retail, I've worked in medicine. Now I'm working in science and business. So I've taken degree after degree after degree and reinvented myself, different careers, and moved with the times. So increasingly, graduate employers are looking for transferable skills, of which I'm very, very passionate that you get when you join us here at Deakin. You get during your studies. So you've got all this idea of circular careers, and you've got the idea that you'll have gigs on the side, your side hustle, which hopefully will make you $1 billion, right? So what are employers looking for, and what do you need to succeed? University degree for a lot of corporate jobs is a basic requirement. You need to be good in extracurricular activities. What does that tell us? That you are engaged, you're motivated, you're social, you can work with people. They want diversity of thinking. You can solve problems, you can take on challenges. Oh, you won't cry when someone throws something at you, right? You can collaborate with others. People want balanced university work. Now, these are real job ads, by the way. Here's Coles. We went out on Seek and pulled up a range of job ads. So work in a team, desire to learn. See, it's always the same transferable skills: teamwork, ability to learn, leadership, so on and so forth. So that's what we try and get you to have and develop and hone during the degree, so that when you go into that grad program, you have a leg up. How do you do that? Well, one of the ways is work integrated learning, where we actually help you get work experience here at Deakin, and also with industry partners, right? You can do internships, you can do consultancy experiences. The photo that you're looking at was actually taken in New York, and this is one of our students on a study tour. You can go study abroad for extended periods. Study tours are short periods. You can have entrepreneurship experiences. You can have cultural engagement, different experiences for different students. And there are many, many of them. And we do strongly encourage you. In fact, we require you to take some units that help you to identify where you want to work, build up things, and then to identify with the industry of your chosen major. So how do we do this? We have a range of units in work integrated learning, ranging from consultancy experience, both domestically and internationally. We've had people go consulting in Japan, work in a Japanese firm. We've had people who have been to Prague and worked in Prague, right? Not that we recommend Prague at this point in time. You can also do internships of all sorts, and then you can also do entrepreneurial experiences working with our startup incubators here at Deakin University. Graduate outcomes, we have a range, and this is real graduate outcomes. What students have reported that they have gone into. They've gone into, for example, to work with Bega Cheese as assistant brand manager, right? With PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC as an associate in trade and taxes, NBN Australia as a manager, HR consultant, NAB. You can look at the range here. And I actually know the person who went and became an assistant product manager at L'Oreal because they were my student. You can travel the world. You can do a trimester abroad while you study. Global experiences while you're learning, faculty-led programs, and so on and so forth. So we have over 200 universities that you can visit for a semester or more. on exchange, and we strongly do encourage you to go there. We also have a range of funding to help offset some of your travel expenses and living expenses. So if you come to Deakin, do look that up. Studying online, well, ever since I've been here, and I've been here for a long time, more than 10 years, right? Deakin has excelled at teaching online. I've been at many, many industries, and Deakin is by far the most committed, and I'd say the best at teaching online. Digital is our DNA. That's what they say, and really, it's the real thing. We've had 40 years of doing this at distance education, and we are very, very comfortable with teaching online, and you'll know the difference when you come to classes. Support, lots and lots of support, ranging from scholarships to financial support to mental health support if you need it. If you need it, talk to a student advisor, talk to your teachers. They will be able to point you in the right direction to get the right support. Student services of all sorts. We have our own clinic, counseling, gym, you name it, we have it. Not just social support, we've got study support, disability support, counseling, we have religious support, all sorts of things that you need to have, right? So what does it mean to come to Deakin? It's a great experience. You'll have fun. It's really balanced. You'll get a great degree. And most of all, I hope that you'll find your passion in life so that I can help guide you into that first step of your career. Thank you, Alvin Lee, from the Bachelor of Commerce, and I hope that I'll see you at Deakin very, very soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Deakin University's Virtual Open Day. And thank you for getting up on Sunday early in the morning to join us. I'm Alvin Lee. I'm the course director and also today's Master of Ceremonies, or as they like to call me, the MC. In order of appearance, we have Nisa over here, and she's our student ambassador, and she'll be talking a lot about her experiences here at Deakin. We have Munirul, or as we like to call him, Nobin. And Nobin is the Deputy Course Director, and Nobin teaches in economics. I teach in marketing, right? And we have Belinda, and Belinda actually takes care of our work integrated learning. That's how you get geared up, and that's how you get the experience to succeed and get that plum first job that we have. Okay, having said that, do you want to introduce yourselves a little bit? Or did I do a good job? Well, good. Okay, let's jump into the questions, right? We have questions coming up. And the first question comes from Helen. And Helen has asked, how does Deakin's Commerce course compare to those of other universities? And the person to answer that, I think, would be Nisa.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, great question, Helen. It's good to kind of look at other universities, especially with similar courses. I've done a few exchanges myself, so different international opportunities with Deakin. And I think I've found in terms of Deakin as an Australian university and other universities overseas, Deakin's a good in the middle sort of university in terms of how strict it is or how casual it is with classes, rather than just looking at the ATAR or different scores that you get. It's also good to look at how it operates as a university and how your classes operate. So I found that I did a program in Italy, which was very casual with its classes, and it was a little bit easier going than Deakin, that's for sure. And then I also did a program in India that was very strict and had the mandatory classes that you had to go to, which I don't have as a commerce student at Deakin. So it's definitely more flexible than a lot of other universities that I've been a part of. And it does give you the ability to go to the different sorts of universities and be able to thrive in both because you have a little bit of experience in all areas. So that's what I found from my own experience anyway.
Okay, thank you, Nisa. Well, if you look at the stats, that's the student experience viewpoint. So student experience, Deakin is well, we are a really caring university, right? We give you space, but yet, you can be assured that you are getting a great education. If you look at the stats, we're the top 1%. And if you look at commerce, the way to judge the quality of a course is by its entry score. Now, in commerce, our entry score exceeds 80%. In other words, it exceeds a high distinction, right, for the VCE. So if anything is A plus, then it's an A plus course compared to the other courses out there. So if you think about this, right, the Deakin Bachelor of Commerce is a high distinction degree. Only those with high distinctions can get in. So that's that, Helen. And Helen has a second question. Do business management and economics school subjects give you credit when applying for the course? Now, I think I'll take that one. So, Helen, I'm not sure, are you referring to high school? Are you referring to year 12? So if it's year 12, then no, the year 12 units enable you to get into Deakin University, but we do not give credit for those units. However, if you are looking to get credit through studies while you're in high school, there is this thing called an accelerator program. Now, the accelerator program, you have to apply. Look on the Deakin website under Bachelor of Commerce, where you can apply to study in one or more of our first year units. For example, you could study with Nobin in economics, right? Go to his lectures, take the exam. Deakin University pays your school fees while you're doing this. Now, application is by merit, so you have to show us that you're a really good student. So you go into the accelerator program, you do the unit. If you pass the unit, then that unit counts towards your university studies, and it also counts towards your VCE, I believe. Okay, so that's one. Nobin, would you like to add something to that?
Thank you, Alvin. You already said enough. I have 2 or 3 students who are the VC 12. This year they are doing it, and they are also taking 2 economics course. And obviously, this course could be credited if you want to get in. And from my past experience, because I've also worked as a academic member for RPL, which is Recognition of Prior Learning. If I understand it correctly, there's one thing that you get a subject, but the other thing is your work experience, which is related to that subject. Now, remember, this is a bit tricky because it has to go through the rigorous process, and you have to make absolute case that your work experience is related to that particular topic where you actually capture a lot of things which we cover in the course. And there is a academic board who are assessing that, and they are very, very competent, and they will do that. So obviously, one way is the university subject that we are doing. Another way, your work experience, which also counts. But then it has to go through a rigorous process. Thank you.
Thank you, Nobin. Let's go to question 3. It's from Anonymous, somebody who doesn't want to be known. And Anonymous says, I'm not sure what I want to do when I'm older, but I do like commerce subjects. What 2 majors would you recommend to allow best jobs prospects for the future? Well, that's a tough one. What do you like? Study what you like, study what you love, right? I'll talk a bit about this first, and then the panel will chip in. I'll give you an example. I love marketing. I started my life as a presenter on radio, for all of all things, right? So being a presenter, then I went into a lot of media, a lot of marketing. I was a disc jockey for a long time, early in my teenage years, right? And having done that, I just love this idea of communication, the idea of planning, the idea of innovation. So that led me to my marketing studies. And lo and behold, 6 degrees later, I'm here talking to you. And, I teach marketing in a university, one of the world's top 1% of universities. So study what you love. If you love the job, it doesn't seem like work. If it's not work, you'll excel at it. And if you excel at it, man, the job prospects are good. So that's my 2 cents on it. So anyone want to chip in? Nisa?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm a little bit the same as the person that asked this, perhaps because I really enjoyed business at school. It was one of my favorite subjects, which is what led me to choose commerce. And I think the layout of the commerce degree is really good because you have to do all the core units before you pick a major. And that's what really helped me because, I was probably the same thinking, which major should I pick to get me a job in the future, which, I could have picked accounting or finance because there's lots of opportunities in those areas. However, I do now major in human resources, which I found out that I really enjoyed because I had to do those core units. And it wasn't perhaps something I would have picked just looking at the name or the job prospects. But, we do have lots of services that will help you find jobs and get internships and that sort of thing. So you don't necessarily have to only pick based on the job prospects, but you use the Deakin Talent and other services like that to make sure you're in the major that you do enjoy in commerce, and then get the jobs later down the track, which is really good.
Nobin? Oh, okay. Belinda, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add to what you had already said, Alvin and Nisa. I think a commerce degree is a great degree to start with. It gives you an open door to a lot of different job prospects, whatever majors you do take. I think it's a good, as I said, a good foundation. And I think one way to sort of see, what job prospects you might have in the future is, go on your LinkedIn if you have one, or if you haven't set one up. Find some people, that might be that you might be looking towards in terms of what they've succeeded in their careers, and seeing what they've done in the past. Have a look at, what they majored in or what their degrees were. They'll have it all on there. See what they've done to get to where they are. And you can also use that as a sort of understanding of what kind of experiences will get you into different places. I mean, you might do a Bachelor of Commerce and majoring in accounting. That doesn't mean you're going to do accounting for the rest of your life. It might mean that accounting gets you an accounting experience, and then you network and you might meet new people within HR, and you might find that, you're passionate about HR, and you might go down the road of, learning and development or something like that. I think any major you take within a commerce degree, it's going to set you up for a great career in the future. That's just my 2 cents on that one, Alvin.
I'm going to add one more thing about my personal experience, because this is a very good question. You need to do a little bit of soul search, and particularly you need to find out which you are passionate about. For example, when you talk about, I'm talking my experience, my father and mother both are medical doctors, and they are coming from the Indian subcontinent background. So they are very pushy. So they push me to be a medical doctor, right? But how come I become a medical doctor? When I see blood, I fainted, right? Straight away. So I never feel anything with the medical science. I don't feel any passionate about it, right? And then it is my father who actually tells me that, what do you like? Which one you feel passionate about? And I said, look, I like human science, especially humanities, social science, and economics. And that's how I get in. Now, remember, in terms of VCE exam or year 12 exam, if you look at my score, there's a 400,000 students appear in that exam. And I was the second in order of merit, which basically means I can get any subject in Bangladesh, any good medical school, but yet it is the passion that drives me in economics. So more like, as Alvin says, what you love about it, what you feel passionate about it, that will give you the driving factor to choose the subject. And once you're passionate and love about it, job will follow through.
That's good advice, Nobin. So the Bachelor of Commerce is set up as a generalist degree. Now, the generalist degree is 8 units across the board in our 8 majors. So you get a taste of what each profession, so each of the base units, the foundation units, right? Give you a taste of what being a marketer would be like, what being an accountant would be like, what do we talk about in our profession. So based on that, a lot of students will go into majors in their second year. They start choosing majors. Some delay a little bit. They take, whatever units, and then they go around a little bit. But a lot of students end up taking majors of units which they score very high on. If you can score high on a foundation unit, chances are you have an aptitude for that unit. So if you like numbers, you go economics, finance, accounting's not really numbers. Accounting's a information management system. So if you like to innovate, if you like to manage things, if you like more lateral type thinking, then marketing management. A lot of people will take one or two majors. I took two. I took one which is a generalist major, marketing, and another one which was my passion, sport management, right? And guess what? There's way fewer jobs in sports management than in marketing. So I ended up in marketing. Plus the pay is better. So so it goes and it goes and it goes, and then you try and find your way. And guess what? Your first job won't be your last job. And very few people get stuck in one industry for their whole life. Okay, a lot of people change 5 or 6 careers. I think I'm on my 8th career right now as an academic. So when you think about this, right, this is a stepping stone. Come in, discover your passion, will help you get there. Belinda will put you in all sorts of work experience. Hopefully you get good training when you go out. Join the Big Four consulting firm. You get very good training, right? After 3 years of working lots and lots of hours, you might decide, wow, this is not the life for me. And then, come back for a master's degree. That's when you really think about, I know this is what I want to do for a long time. Take a master's degree, and then, the world's your oyster. So that's that question. So question 4, whoa, Helen. Helen's back, and Helen has another one from Helen. She's got the best questions. That's what Alistair said. Why is it recommended to do the travel study? I take that's why we do an overseas study experience. That's straight down Belinda's alley. So Belinda.
Thanks, Helen. Yeah, we do have lots of international study tours or international experiences within WIL, and you can undertake these as electives within your commerce degree. Things like we've got what's called an international consultancy experience, and this gives students, again, who may not quite understand what it is they want to do yet, or what industry they want to get into. So these sorts of things are great for students to get a taste of what it's like to work for an international company. And I get it's good to probably mention that, a lot of companies that do operate within Australia or operate internationally operate globally. So I think doing an international experience gives you an opportunity to actually see how other organizations work, whether they be global or whether they be based in America or in India or whatever it might be. It gives you an understanding of how they do business, because the way we do business in Australia is not how an Indian company might do business as well. So it's good to give students a taste of what that looks like, because you are going into a global experience once you do leave your career, your degrees, and go out into and finding your career as well. Some of the organizations that we have worked with internationally, we've worked with the Australian Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. We've done virtual experiences with them, as well as in-person ones when we were able to. And the feedback from the students is, it's an amazing experience, because it is giving them an opportunity in a very safe environment to learn about international consultancy, and learning about how international organizations work. And it's giving them a leg up for when they do finish their degree and need to go and fill up their resume with lots of different experiences that they've done at university to go and get their first job as well.
Nisa, would you like to add? You've been on several overseas experiences.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been a really enjoyable part of my own study experiences. And while it's not necessary at all, I think it really adds a lot of value to your degree, and also gives you a little bit extra to put on your resume or anything like that sets you aside from other students. I think I went to India on a short-term program just before COVID. I was really lucky to get that in. And I ended up with a job out of it just because of one of the other students I met there had an opportunity when we came back to Australia. And it's also just like that networking that you don't always get to do otherwise. So now I've got extra job out of it, which was really good. And I still got the study experience and a bit of travel experience. There's a lot of grants available as well, especially if you're going anywhere in Asia. There's the New Colombo Plan grant, which was really helpful for me because it did allow me to go overseas and not worry too much about the program costs or paying for a flight and things like that. But I just really enjoyed my time, and it made, a little bit more interesting for the degree, just to see how subjects may work in other countries and how Deakin kind of integrates that within our own learning.
And you can visit lots and lots of countries. We have lots and lots of partners. You can do it virtually. You can do it in person. Highly recommended that you spend a trimester or a semester overseas, or in Nisa's case, several. Right? So that's that one. Let's go on to question 5. It's from Faith. Does business analytics involve IT? The short answer is no. It involves analytics. So analytics uses software to actually look at data, to look at patterns, to extract usable information from the data. So you become an analyst. So I'm a marketing analyst. Nobin is a analyst in economics. So we look at different parts of the same data, actually, to help managers make decisions. Now, IT really is a lot of it's to do with IT infrastructure. You actually go play around with computers, hardware, right? And the building of the internet and so on and so forth. So analytics, business analytics in the Faculty of Business and Law, in the Bachelor of Commerce, does not deal with IT per se. Yeah, but there is a bit of programming, very, very low level programming, which I'm sure you can handle. We start you off in Excel, and then we move on to things like RapidMiner. And if you go into some of the majors, you might get to see different types of software, right? Either mathematical software, analytic software, which we all use and which industry uses, right? So that's that one for Faith. Okay, and then we have question 6 from Justin. And Justin says, what is the difference between a finance major and a financial planning major? That's a good one. So the short answer to the question is finance deals a lot with corporate investment. So the investments that companies make, right? That's the finance major. Whereas financial planning deals with the person. It deals with your investment portfolio, which can include superannuation, which can include buying shares, putting some money away. So that's financial planning. It's planning for a person's future, whereas the finance major deals with a company's future, right? So 2 totally different things, right? So I hope that explains it without going into too much technicality. And then, hi all, next one is from, I'm not sure from whom, but it says, you'll see we've had a tricky question. Slido, oh, I'm not sure. So question 8, okay, that's from just a comment from Luke, right? So question 8, it's from Alistair. Should I do a work integrated learning unit? Is it an internship the only work integrated learning option? Okay, Belinda, let's tell them about the 4 different types.
Well, yes, there are many, many different ways to do a work integrated learning unit. Internships are one of those options, and they can be a self-sourced internship. So that's where a student might go and source their own experience. And again, looking at things that you're passionate about, so industry that you're passionate about, a particular job that you might like to do within your chosen major, whatever it might be. So that's the internship option. The other options that we have things like social impact. So that allows students to work with organizations such as The Big Issue and help them with strategy and things like that, which very much impact our community and have that sort of element of sustainability and all those sorts of things, and how we can help other people. Some other experiences we have are consultancy experiences, so working in multidisciplinary teams on external organization projects. That could be about profit, it could be about business strategy, all those sorts of things. Other experiences we have within entrepreneurship. So students who might be really interested in having their own startup or working with a startup, we help you learn how to be an entrepreneur, and also giving you a safe opportunity to actually test your ideas. So things that you might be really looking forward to doing in the future, and you're doing your commerce degree to help you get there. And as I said as well, we do have the international experiences as well, and they can be through study tours, they could be through faculty-led programs. As I mentioned earlier, you know, the AustChamp experience that we do have. And within the internship option, there is also experiences that come to us where we actually help the organisations recruit students. Some organisations we've worked with in the past have been ANZ, Cotton On Group, the Royal Women's Hospital. So lots of different industries that we work with and lots of different opportunities, and they, you know, lots of accounting, lots of marketing, lots of HR, all those sorts of things. And again, I think it's a really safe way to sort of build your resume, whilst also being able to finish your degree as well. So all of these experiences will give you a credit towards your degree. So I think if you are looking to go to Deakin and you get accepted and you're all the way there, I think the first point of call is chat with a student advisor and see how you can get all these sorts of experiences planned into your course map, so you can start ticking these off whilst you're in your degree and not looking forward, being able to plan what you want to do when you finish as well.
Thank you, Linda.
And Nisa, I guess you could probably add some stuff there as well. I know you've done an experience through WIL as well.
Yeah, that's right. I did an internship, which was my WIL unit. That was for my law degree, but it's very similar for the commerce. And I mean, I got a credit point for it, which was really good. And I was able to work for a company, which was a legal startup, and essentially acted like I was in the job and got that real world experience, which was really good. And I've since stayed on at the company, which was a really great opportunity for me because it can be hard to get your foot in the door for those sorts of jobs. So the work integrated learning experience is a really great way to do that. And if you do, really enjoy the work you're doing and the people you're working for or the company, then you can kind of see if there is any future opportunities with that to continue on in your role and, get paid for some work or volunteer your time, as well as doing that one work integrated learning where you get the unit point towards your degree. So I think, it does as well give you that overlook on what it will look like once you finish your degree and want to go into the field of commerce or anything like that.
Highly recommended, right? I run a marketing lab out of my office, and it's called MAGIC, right? Marketing Group Integrated, Collaboration. So the idea here is that, let's do first things first. We also take WIL students, so in internships and so on and so forth. And all of my WIL students, and in fact, all of the people who graduated from my lab have gone on to do bigger, better things. They often, get jobs before they finish the project at the lab. So we have clients, we do a lot of consulting for people, and then the clients often will hire the person who is on the team, or they ask about people. So knowing a lot of the business owners and the CEOs and the HR people, they're always looking for something extra. What are you bringing to the table when you join my company? Right? What else on top of studying have you done? Have you shown travel? Can you do another language? Have you shown some innovation? What experiences can you bring? Right? So if you think about it, it's a race for jobs. For the best jobs, it's always a race. So they try and look for things that distinguish one candidate from another. So, you've got a few years here at Deakin. Put your best leg forward, get involved. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so next question's about money. We have a lot of questions. So question 7 about best employment prospects. Would we talk about, which are the best paying jobs and what someone should think about when choosing a major. So we spoke about choosing a major based on your passion. Now, the idea of return on investment, all the majors have good return on investment. I can talk about marketing in my area. A graduate marketer, so someone who's graduated from a good university with a marketing major, starts off at around minimum 75 grand to 85 grand. That's entry level marketing, right? In 3 years, if you're good and haven't got fired yet, you're looking at 6 figures. Okay, most of the people in my lab whom I still keep in touch, within 5 years, they're in middle management. They're making around 200, right? That's 200,000. I've had a few success stories. So one of the students, Natalie, who was in my lab about 8-9 years ago, she's gone on and is now head of sales for Amazon Europe. Okay, another one from my lab from about 15-17 years ago, Esther. So Esther went to IBM. Well, she first went to consulting, then she went to IBM, and now she is she's the lead of sales Asia Pacific for Salesforce. So she's got half the world. She controls half the world for Salesforce. Okay, another one also out of my lab, right? She started off in Woodside Energy. So we got her a job in Woodside Energy because of a consulting thing with Woodside Energy. Then she went on to KPMG, stayed in KPMG for a while, went to Royal Dutch Shell, went from the Royal Dutch Shell to Barclays Bank, went from Barclays Bank to HSBC, went from HSBC, and now she's lead of internal marketing, World Trade Organization. So 3 examples, right, of alumni from my lab, from Magic. So if you're talking about job prospects, all of the majors are vertical majors. What vertical majors mean is that you go into an entry level marketing, you get to climb the ladder. As you climb the ladder, ultimately you become chief marketing officer. If you do management, the idea is there's a chief executive officer. If you do economics, wow, it's even bigger. You can go into all sorts of things because there's a lot of economics jobs that require economic skills, right? If you go into law, chief legal counsel in a company, perhaps if you don't set up your own shop, right? If you do HR, there's a chief of HR. If you do accountant, there's 2 ways, private practice, or you go into management accounting. Okay, if you do finance, there's a CFO position ultimately to climb. And if you look at the remuneration for those, it's very simple. Look on Seek. See what they're advertising for. Now, as to how many jobs, look, it's 3 years in the future. You come in this year, 3 years you graduate. It's very difficult to say which area will have more jobs at that point. But remember, the Bachelor of Commerce has 8 majors. All these 8 majors are what we call evergreen industries or evergreen verticals. They don't go out of fashion. Ever since I took my Bachelor of Commerce, which was a long time ago, the 8 majors have been there. The 8 majors are enshrined as the vertical management structures in all corporations, in all government, in all startup. If you grow big, you will need professionals from each of these majors to run your company. So job prospects are always there unless we abandon democracy and we abandon, free business. So don't be scared.
And may I add something as well, Alvin?
Yes, please.
Just look at our Prime Minister. He's also economics graduate. So you know what economics can do. We have a few students in Deakin University. One of them who graduated, she's doing MBA economics. and she becomes a country director for Visa credit card for whole Australia. And then there was also a student which I had, and he was a state manager of the Westpac Bank. So for all Victoria Westpac banks, he controlled that. We have a couple of students who not only get limited in here, but also going to overseas. Some university hired them, right? For example, the University of Bonn in Germany. One of my students who graduated recently, he joined in University of Paris, right? And obviously during the COVID time, and this is a very volatile time, and demand for economics also goes up, right? So as Alvin says, it depends which time you are talking about. But main thing is your passion. If you are passionate about it, and if you throw yourself out in the market to observe, get as much experience as you get, there is no limit for you. The sky is the limit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nobin. We've got about 5 minutes left, 6 minutes, so we'll try and get through the questions. Will it be easy to get into a career after commerce degree? Well, I'd say most of our students get hired within 4 to 6 months. Is that correct, Belinda, with the stats?
I don't have those stats, Alvin, but I do think that's probably about correct.
Yeah, that's about ballpark. So it's no big struggle, but you do have to do the yards, right? If you fail a lot of units, if you don't take it seriously, then, you know, if you get half your work right, half of the people don't want to hire you. I think the equation's about right. That's a ratio. Okay, so question 10. What's the difference between the Bachelor of Commerce with a major in finance, minor in business analytics, and Bachelor of Business Analytics with, major in finance, minor in finance? So the major is 8 units. Okay, so to put it very simply, major is 8 units, minor is 4 units. You study way more in a major. So with a major, people who take a major will normally enter a career related to their major. Hopefully, you enter a career related to the major, right? So a minor is a supporting part. So if you take a major in my area in marketing, a lot of people will take a minor in management because marketing and management are very close. Or if you want to become an analyst, a lot of people will take a major in marketing with a minor in economics. Why? Because marketers use a lot of the methods in economics in our work, right? So you may take 2 majors or 2 degrees, or 3 majors from 2 degrees. For example, Nisa is doing both law and HR, right? So that's that. So that's the difference. So the traditional pairings would be accounting and finance and economics in some cases. Marketing and management, HRM, would be very traditional pairings, right? Economics goes with anything, and analytics is the new area where there's a lot of jobs, right? So the idea is that going forwards, all professions will need analytics. So it's a baseline item. So that's question 10. We've got 3 minutes. Question 11. If I'm studying cloud-based, can I do all my study on nights and weekends? Yes, you can. If I was to study the BCom cloud-based, what type of assistance would I have if I have any questions and lessons, assignments? Your assistance would be exactly the same as the assistance an on-campus face-to-face person would get. We now have this thing called Zoom and message boards and email. And for my students, you can even call me up, right? So we are available. And from what I hear from the polls, Deakin is one of the universities that care about students the best and support students the best. Nisa would know. She's been to several universities.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of cloud-based learning as well, you do have all those resources that in-person students have as well. I think the discussion board on most of our unit pages is one of the things in-person and cloud students use a lot, and it's the best place to ask any questions about assignments or general class questions. And there's always someone designated to answer those, which is really great. And you can, email your lecturers or tutors at any time. In terms of can you study on weekends and nights? It's definitely possible. I mean, I've worked full-time while studying at one point, and I found that I was able to juggle that. And if I was really diligent, I could put aside those, 2 hours after work every day, or just the time at the weekend to do my classwork and assignments. So it's really your own personal study habits and skills, but it's definitely possible to do those things.
Yep. And the last item was, do you have to travel to Deakin to do exams? No. We run exams all over the world. We run exams online, and you just have to register. Right, so I think that concludes the session before we get cut off in a few seconds. So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank the panel members, and we hope you have a very nice weekend. Bye.